Good evening. A reduced timetable for Southern Rail passengers could be extended for longer than 4 weeks. That's what the people of Seaford have been told tonight at a meeting with Govia Thameslink, the owner of Southern. Andy Dickinson sent this.
Well, a packed hall here in Seaford tonight, the town this week, the focus of disruption that's hit commuters across our region for months. Passengers here and in other areas now having to accept an 80% reduction in their rail service with replacement buses as the dispute between Govia Thameslink and the RMT union shows no signs of ending. Hundreds of protesters gather in Seaford as a new emergency timetable brought in by Southern Rail leaves them and thousands like them feeling cut off. Their only alternative, replacement bus journeys, as the overwhelming majority of their trains are cancelled. This the culmination of months of misery for commuters across Sussex, with delays and cancellations caused by staff shortages, sickness and strikes. At the heart of the chaos, a dispute with Southern's owners Govia Thameslink wanting to introduce driver-operated train doors. Rail union, the RMT, arguing that guards are needed for passenger safety. The result, 341 trains a day have now been temporarily axed. The new timetable, a more resilient service, the franchise says. The worst affected routes here along the south coast, but even the Gatwick Express service has been hit. Workers, residents and tourists all suffering. The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, adding his voice to those calling for the franchise to be stripped. The rail company and the union refusing to back down. The people of Seaford saying enough is enough. Well, earlier I spoke to Angie Doll, a director from Govia Thameslink, and she had this to say.
We needed to bring in something that gave customers and our staff something that was more predictable to work with. So unfortunately it was a last resort, and we thought long and hard about it. It meant that we took some services out. It has affected Seaford customers, but in the long run it will be better for the customers because at least they can plan a journey around the new timetable.
Now, we've been told tonight that 2 services between Seaford and Lewes will be reinstated from Monday, but the company could offer no guarantee that this reduced timetable wouldn't be extended beyond 4 weeks.
Andy Dickinson reporting there. Surgeons in Southampton are leading a pioneering study into antibiotics for children with acute appendicitis. Currently, the condition is treated with an operation, but doctors are looking into whether drugs could be used instead. A Havant-based technology company has announced it plans to close with the loss of more than 300 jobs. Seagate, which builds hard drives at Langston Technology Park, proposes to wind its operation down by next June, blaming a restructuring of their business. Bookings for the I360 in Brighton have had to be cancelled because of a delay in the tower's opening. They've been rescheduled for September because the attraction is still being tested. Now, if you're a parent watching, are you confident your child could dial 999 in an emergency? Statistics show many children haven't been taught how to, and that's something the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Air Ambulance are trying to change by teaching youngsters of all ages and abilities across the region. Sally Simmons went along to see how they got on.
The pilot and doctor are in the front of the helicopter, paramedics in the back. It's an emergency at Springwell School in Southampton. Children with learning difficulties may be play acting, but it's hoped they'll remember what to do in real life. According to Mumsnet, the online parenting network, 1 in 3 children haven't been taught how to dial the emergency services. A presentation like this is designed to drive the message home.
Did you enjoy it today?
Yeah.
And what is that there behind
There's
you?
a helicopter. There's a helicopter. It's called Ambulance Air.
And who are these people?
No, 999 people.
What number do you dial? Do you remember?
999. Is she breathing? Yes.
10-year-old Bradley from Church Crookham called an ambulance when his mother collapsed.
I heard something down, like, crash on the floor downstairs, and then my brother and sister were shouting, "Mummy, Mummy, wake up, wake up."
So what number did you dial and what did you say?
999, of course. And then I picked the ambulance service,
I didn't know that he'd be that aware, to be honest, and how well he would cope. Plus, he also has additional needs. He's got ASD and ADHD. So, yeah, he coped fantastic.
Bradley had done first aid at school, but this subject is not on the curriculum.
Well, we just thought it was our social responsibility to make sure that every child is familiar with what to do if they ever find themselves in a 999 emergency situation.
The Hampshire and Isle of Wight Air Ambulance team have now taught over 20,000 children. They say anyone aged from 2 to 11 can learn and could save a life. Sally Simmons, ITV News, Southampton.
Now, of course, Prime Minister and Maidenhead MP Theresa May has got her hands full taking the country forward into a post-Brexit world. But she'll also spend her time in 10 Downing Street managing a lifelong health condition. Mrs May has type 1 diabetes and needs 4 injections of insulin a day. She was diagnosed in 2013 and said the news came as a shock, but doesn't affect how she does her job. Type 1, unlike type 2, is not caused by poor diet or unhealthy lifestyle. It's when a person's pancreas fails to produce enough insulin and blood sugar levels become too high. Over time, this can damage a person's organs. In the ITV Meridian region, at least 25,000 people have been diagnosed with type 1. But if Mrs May needed inspiration on how to cope with the condition, she need look no further than 83-year-old Mildred Skirmer. She's been living with diabetes for more than 60 years, defying doctors' predictions that it would shorten her life. Here's Peter Byrne.
Morning, Mildred.
Morning.
Are you all right this morning?
Yeah, thank you.
Good.
Twice a day, every day, Mildred Skirmer has her insulin injection. It regulates her blood sugar levels. Left unchecked, they could get too high, leading to serious health problems. Mrs Skirmer was told she had type 1 diabetes at the age of 21. Now 83, she's been injecting herself for 6 decades. It's only since Christmas that she's had a nurse in to help her.
It come natural to stick it in. It's just looking at it and then got to do it.
So you weren't funny about needles or anything like that? You were happy?
I was very frightened of needles, but
just got on with it.
You come accustomed to it then.
As a young woman, Mrs Skirmer was fit and healthy, a keen gymnast. Her diagnosis came as a big shock, especially as type 1 diabetes can reduce someone's life expectancy by around 14 years.
She's quite often said, if I get to 70, I've done well. This is from Dr. Peace, I believe, who was the consultant she was under when she first got diagnosed.
So you've proved the doctors wrong?
Oh yeah, well, we can prove them, can't we?
In the total time, that's 62 years, that Mildred has had diabetes, she's had 45,000 injections. That comes to a total of 10 litres of insulin.
One for having diabetes for 50 years.
Yeah.
And then the second one for 60 years. So you've got 2 medals.
Oh, yeah.
The charity Diabetes UK has now recognised Mrs Skirmer's courage in living with the condition for so long.
It's bad enough to do the injections twice a day, but you've got to monitor the food side of things, your blood sugar side, and fitting it in with your day-to-day life. Really, it's quite an achievement. It's very hard to manage diabetes.
Advances in treatment mean type 1 diabetics are now living longer. Mrs Skirmer puts her longevity down to being strict about what and when she eats. But she's got a way to go to equal the record for living with diabetes, which currently stands at 80 years. Peter Byrne, ITV News.
Well, let's take a look at the weather forecast now. Here's Simon Parkin.
From cold fronts to camping, driving through Europe, Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Good evening, and you'll be pleased to know it's a trouble-free 24 hours of weather ahead. Certainly a quiet night tonight, some bits and pieces of cloud, clear spells, actually feeling quite cool too, with temperatures in some rural spots down into single figures. But a decent day tomorrow. There will be some early brightness around, but as we head through Friday, you will notice the cloud thickens up from the west as a weather front pushes in. It should stay dry though, and actually feeling quite warm. Light winds and highs of around 19, maybe 20 degrees. And then Saturday, another decent day, a fair bit of cloud, but staying dry, also warm and a bit humid too.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.